Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been accused of bullying following a pretty heated exchange during question time. Queensland MP Michelle Landry says she felt humiliated and was left in tears after his response to her about a question for funding for a project in her electorate.
My question is to the Prime Minister. The federal government is intending to delay $800 million of Commonwealth funding to construct the Rockhampton Ring Road by at least 2 years. In 2019, as Shadow Infrastructure Minister, the Prime Minister issued a media release titled, quote, "Rockhampton Ring Road a certainty under Labor." Why is the Prime Minister breaking his personal guarantee to the people of Rockhampton?
As Infrastructure Minister, there was substantial investment went into Rockhampton roads, particularly Yeppen floodplain, which we funded, did the planning for.
Members on my left.
Yeppen floodplain. Yeppoon's a different place. Yeppoon's a different place. And you might want to ask the member for Capricornia, because Yeppoon is on the coast north of Rockhampton, and Yeppen floodplain is to the south. It's the southern entry of the Bruce Highway into Rockhampton. Queenslander!
Well, joining us now is Michelle Landry. Thanks so much for your time, Michelle. Take us through what happened yesterday.
Yeah, so I asked the question about the Ring Road, and look, there was a bit of laughter at the start of it about the Yeppen floodplain and Yeppoon, and I live at Yeppoon. And look, it was a genuine mistake because not many people know of the Yeppen floodplain unless you live there. And I've been really outraged all week about the cuts in my electorate, over $1 billion in infrastructure funding. So it was important to me to ask this question. I just felt that after he had a go at Peter, that then he just looked at me and it was just screaming. And I've had male and female colleagues sitting behind me and near me saying that the direction was pointed right at me. And, you know, I'm not a wallflower, I'm not a feminist by any means, but I just felt it was out of control in question time yesterday, just him screaming directly at me, pointing at me, and then when it ended, all his MPs, male and females, laughing and jeering and pointing. And I have actually had some female Labor MPs coming up to me and asking last night if I was okay.
Okay, so it was the yelling and the jeering at the very end of that answer that was so upsetting.
Well, and it was just the behaviour, like he just stood there screaming and pointing at me. And I mean, as I said, I've had some tough, sessions in Parliament, and in my electorate I'm under attack all the time from unions and all the rest of it. But it was just very pointed. He was making out that, I had done nothing in the 9 years I've been elected, and that, basically they were the only ones that have ever done anything in Capricornia, where we put over $6 billion into infrastructure into the area since I've been elected. And then, that was the final straw at the end. And, if you look at that whole footage, you see at the end it took quite a while for the Speaker to actually bring them under control. And when you're sitting in there, it's fairly intense with people screaming and laughing and pointing at you across the chamber. So I just felt like I was humiliated in there yesterday. I did ask for an apology in the Parliament, which didn't happen. The Prime Minister did ring me and apologise, but I just don't think it's acceptable behaviour when all day we'd been talking about helping people, having a kinder Parliament, having it more family friendly, and then, the Labor Party treats a female politician like that. Imagine if Peter Dutton did that to one of their female politicians. Every lefty organisation in the country would be outraged.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just trying to figure out here, in that phone call, first of all, go back to the phone call. Anthony Albanese did call you to apologise. He tried to explain, because he's spoken to Sky News this morning. He says it wasn't bullying behaviour. And I'm verballing him here, but he feels like perhaps there was a bit of miscommunication. Do you accept that?
Well, he did, at first he just said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you." And I said, "Well, you did." I said, "I didn't think that was good behaviour." And then he just started on about, people yell at him in the chamber all the time, And then he started on about the how much money that the Labor Party had put into infrastructure and roads and all the rest of it. Anyway, we spoke for a couple of minutes and then the conversation finished because I really didn't need to be lectured about what the Labor Party's done. You know, if he didn't think there was a problem, why did he ring to apologise to start with? And look, it's done now. But as my female colleagues in the coalition, we decided to call it out because we are sick of being treated like doormats, and it's about time that people realise that, you know, conservative females are actually human beings as well. It's not just about the left.
So do you think this is about a different standard for conservative female politicians?
I do, and I think that our male politicians are treated, differently as well. I mean, the standards that they have to adhere to are totally different. Imagine if Scott Morrison did this as Prime Minister, the outrage that there'd be out there. And
well, Michelle, some would argue that he did bring this kind of elevated, more aggressive form of debate to Parliament. Do you accept that?
Look, I think that the whole of Parliament needs to settle down a bit. I think we have to have respect, and I agree with what they're saying about there needs to be more respect in the House. I mean, you know, we have school kids that come through and look at this, and, I've decided to take a stand on this. I have 2 daughters, adult daughters, and I don't want them to be treated like this. I've worked in, corporate jobs all my life, and I tell you, if I was spoken to like this in a bank that I had worked at for a long time, just is not good enough. So I just think that we've all got to calm it down a bit and have a bit more respect in the chamber.
Okay. I mean, elections and the gladiatorial contest almost in Parliament has been par for the course for quite some time. Do you have any personal reflections on perhaps behaviour you've had in the past, or what you can do in the chamber as a Conservative woman to change the tone?
Look, I did say this to the Prime Minister yesterday that I do try and get on with everyone. I, very rarely will go attacking anybody. I've always been taught you attack the policy, not the person, and you won't find me screaming at people. My electorate's very, it can be very volatile. There's a lot of union activity there, and my family and myself have been treated fairly badly over a number of years on what has happened. But, I think that there needs to be more respect, and I would like to see more respect from other females at times.
Yeah.
There's some beautiful women over in the Labor side, and as I said, some came up to me and said, was I okay? But I think that we need to have respect. I mean, look at some of our beautiful people like Nicole Flint that have left because of the bullying. I'm probably a bit older and tougher than what she is, but, it does get you down when people behave that badly to you all the time, and you just think, I'm here to do a job, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to do my job. I was fighting for my electorate, and I just felt that the screaming was unwarranted.
Okay, Michelle Landry, thanks so much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.